And I'm David. Let's talk about Survivor Winners at War, shall we?
Yes, part 4. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And if you want to support us on Patreon, there are links in the description to that.
Yes.
Speaking of,
we have another patron birthday, y'all. It's Sherwin's birthday.
Sherwin! All right, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
This is your birthday song. It isn't very long.
Hey, Sherwin.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Sherwin.
birthday. Thanks for your support.
Yes. Okay, so this is part 4 in our cast reaction for Winners at War. We've done 3 parts already.
I can't believe it.
I know.
I can't believe we're on part 4.
I know, we're almost to the end here. If you want to watch those old ones, there's links down there.
Yes.
And I think there's maybe a link up here. All kinds of links.
All the links.
But watch the old ones. Here today, we are talking about Sophie. We're talking about Rob. We're talking about Parvati and Yul.
Oh,
good ones. Old school winners.
We're getting old school. We've been going from recent to furthest back winners. Yes,
right.
And here we are. So these seasons are definitely different.
Right.
These are old school players. This is a different world.
Right.
And some of them haven't played since.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's dive in.
One of those is Sophie, who was on South Pacific.
She won South Pacific.
Now, she was on that season with a bunch of Survivor names, right? So we had...
Well, they had 2 returning players on South Pacific.
Coach
and Ozzy.
Yes, but you had Cochran on that season, who went on to become a super iconic winner. And Brandon, who was Russell's nephew. Russell, of course, is like a very famous villain in Survivor, and his nephew was on this season and was like crazy on this season. So it was like a lot of big Survivor names this season.
Sophie was only a mere 21-year-old.
Oh my God, she had just finished college.
She just gotten out of school.
Yeah.
And you definitely see it in her. She's blunt.
Oh, she says it like she sees it.
Yes.
And rubs people the wrong way.
She feels a certain way, and she lets you know about it.
Doesn't care. She's gonna tell you.
And you can see by the end of the season that she learns that about herself. She goes on a bit of a journey.
She does, yes, because there is like an emotional tribal towards the end of the game where Ozzy calls her character into question, and it's like day 37, and she slowly kind of loses it at that tribal council where she's like, Ozzy's calling my character into question. I thought I had played with my character intact, and now it's not just Ozzy, it's everybody. And she starts crying, and Jeff's like, girl, it's just day 37 and you're losing it. This game is hard on your psyche. And she's like, I know, but I just really thought that I was this. And then she does make it to the final tribal where she's like, someone asks her about it, and she's like, listen, I thought it was a strength, and now I realize it's a weakness, the way that I behave towards other people.
Right.
So she kind of had a big journey, which I think will lead to her maybe having different gameplay this time around.
I think so, because it's been quite a few years in between. I think it's been 9 for her. And she's a different person. Like, I think she learned a lot coming out of that season, but she has definitely learned a lot just growing through your 20s, right? Now, right before that dramatic tribal where Ozzy was like sort of calling her a spoiled brat, she had in a challenge was like yelling for Albert to drop his stuff and help her. I mean, who has
the balls,
the cojones to be like, if you want to beat Ozzy, you have to help me? Like, she was just demanding, and he was like, I'm all right, I'm doing my own thing. And Jeff like intervened and was like, no one can help anybody. But like, it's just the fact that she felt that she could say that.
Right. She like wasn't playing by anybody's rules but her own.
But that she's not. I don't think she's a villain. I don't think she's like a mean, she's not a super like lying to your face deceptive person. She's just blunt. And so it will be interesting to see if she's still that blunt or if she sort of grew out of it.
She wasn't no slouch physically. She won 3 individual immunities, including the final individual immunity. So, you know, she has potential to get some wins there.
Now, she formed an early alliance that took them all the way to the end. So she is able to be loyal. She's very smart. And she hasn't played in a while. But she has okay, she's not one of those who's played over and over again. We don't hear from her like, oh, she's not in our face so much. But she has been on quite a few podcasts. Like, she is out there in the world talking strategy, reminding us how smart she is, how well she knows this game. So I'm very interested to see her play again because I think she's matured, and I think she's not a huge target, but she is a threat.
Totally, but like, it's interesting because she played in this day when alliances meant something, and when alliances were formed early on and lasted the whole game. That's not necessarily how survivors played in modern times. Like, alliances tend to shift a little bit more nowadays, but we have some of these old school winners like Sophie and like Yule, who we'll get to, who form these alliances, and they actually are alliances, and they will take each other to the end.
Yeah.
You know?
If I'm a newer player / winner, I'm thinking these types of old school loyal people are people I want in my pocket.
Right.
You want to form your alliance with them, whether it's going to shift or not, you know, you feel like they're going to be loyal to you.
Right, loyalty. That's right.
Now, Sophie doesn't have any visible connections per se. Like, there aren't other players that she has actually played with on this season.
Correct.
But she's obviously still in the world. We don't know who she actually knows. So I think that she kind of could be an easy first boot if they just were like, well, I haven't played with her. I've played with you, so I don't know. Let's just
I don't know
Sophie
her kind of thing. Yeah.
But she is on the same tribe as Tony. And I think that Tony is in danger of being an obvious first boot, right?
Right.
So it's going to kind of depend on how that tribe plays out, and if she's able to sort of hook up with certain people for protection.
Yeah, that is the thing with so many of these winners. A lot of them have played multiple times. A lot of them have played together.
Yes.
Sophie is one who played once, won once, never went back. And, you know, that may not play into her advantage for exactly the reasons that you laid out there.
And we should just say that she won 6-3-0 over Coach and Albert.
Yes. Let's talk about
record.
Let's talk about Rob.
Oh boy, it's time for Boston Rob.
We could probably do a whole video on just Boston Rob.
It's like, on one hand, there's so much to say about him, and on the other hand, it's like, what do you say about him?
Yeah, I know, right?
He's Boston Rob.
He's just a legend.
Whoa.
He has now, with the participation on
Island of the Idols,
and now Winners at War, 6 seasons of Survivor that he's been a part of in some form.
Yes.
Or fashion.
And technically his 5th of playing, which is the most of any of the winners on 40.
So he was on Marquesas, he was on All Stars, he was on Heroes vs. Villains, and then he finally won on Redemption Island.
Okay, so we like to talk about the season that the person won on, but we are going to touch on some other stuff because
we have to.
He's Rob. What are you going to do?
Right. He was on All Stars with Amber. That's where they met. That's famous couple, Rob and Amber, right? He lost to her in the final tribal.
Okay, let's just say there are plenty of people who are like, it took him 4 times to win.
Yeah.
But I say, let's not forget his second time out, All Stars.
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal run that got him to the final, and he came in second. Yeah. Maybe because some people were hurt by him. I don't know. I can't say why they voted the way they did.
Could argue that maybe there was a bitter jury, but
could have played into some of those votes.
He played a really great game on All Stars. That's the point we're making here. Like, he was an incredible player.
Absolutely.
He just lost at the final hurdle, right?
Yes.
He also has been on 2 seasons of The Amazing Race with Amber. So they are just CBS mainstays.
Oh, yeah. I loved them on Amazing Race, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now the season that he won, Redemption Island, was actually set up for him and Russell.
Right.
Like, the whole season was geared towards him. And also Russell, but
well, Rob is really the one who delivered on this, right? Some people say, like, Redemption Island, it was Rob's 4th time playing, unfair advantage, there are all these new players. Okay, you could say that, but Russell was on that season too, and Russell went home day 8. So Rob delivered on the promise of someone who has, you know, played multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, he dominated. He was able to, so they were put on 2 different tribes. Russell's tribe wanted Russell out.
Yeah.
Rob's tribe
loved him.
Was like, hey, what do you want us to do?
Yes.
So he became the cult leader, surrounded by his sheep, and he said what was going to happen and when it was going to happen.
And if he ever caught wind of something that he didn't know about, whoever started that was going home. It was like if Rob was not looped in on a plan, whoever made that plan is out. It was all about loyalty to Rob this season.
But it wasn't super easy. He still had to win some immunities, which he won 4 of.
Hello. He found 2 hidden immunity idols.
He won the last final immunity challenge, being able to then make absolute final decisions.
Yes.
And he put himself in the position next to the people he wanted to be sitting next to, knowing he could beat them.
He wanted to be there next to Philip and Natalie, and he beat them 8-1-0. So that was a smart decision.
Yeah.
Like, he just positioned himself next to people that he knew there was no way he was going to lose. And he was right. I mean, there was also, I think it was David, who lobbied super hard for him in the final tribal council.
Right.
And was like, I'm not even going to ask you guys questions. I'm turning to the jury and I'm saying, there's only one option here to win. And we all know it because he played every single one of you and got you out. And everyone was like, you're right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a strategic mastermind. He is always thinking one step ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
He is playing constantly, figuring what's going on. Could possibly something be going wrong here? Let's fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just always thinking about the game and observing people and like just one step ahead of them.
Right.
But he's also great at challenges. He's really good at puzzles too.
Yeah.
Like he's got, well, I was going to say the full package, except that socially, he's lying.
Right.
I can't say his social game's amazing because you are either his sheep or you're like, I gotta get him out, you know?
Right. And that's what I think is going to be tricky for him this season and why he didn't do
tricky.
super well on Heroes versus Villains. Because he's actually never been on the jury in Survivor, even though he's been eliminated.
Right.
You know, he's only won once. But because when he goes out early because they want him out before the merge. And that's what happened in Heroes vs. Villains. People like Parvati and Sandra and all these people who have won and played multiple times, they got Rob's number, okay?
Yeah.
They know that Rob is a huge threat and they want to get him out as soon as they can. So he's definitely going to be fighting against that.
Look, he's like the face of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at this cast, you're like, oh, Rob is the biggest target. He wrote a book.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh. But also, you gotta take into consideration that he hasn't played since 2010.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look physically the way he did back then.
No, he's people age.
He got a dad bod.
Put on a little weight, maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe.
He's had 4 kids.
Yeah, right.
And has been playing poker.
Yeah. He's probably a step slower than he used to be physically.
I have to imagine.
Yeah.
He's not the challenge beast he might have been at one time. But he's still the target, and I have to imagine that everyone is thinking, how do I get Rob out and how do I disarm him? How do I take his people that he's close to?
That's right.
AKA his wife.
Yeah, right.
Number 1 wife.
Yeah.
How do I disarm him and then how do I get him out?
Yeah. With Rob, you just never know. Like,
especially since we have Edge of Extinction.
Right. And the truth is, he should have been prime target on Redemption Island and he made it all the way and won. You know, as a fourth time player, those players should have known, like, we got to get him out. And somehow he's not going to have those sheep.
Those were first time players.
Yeah.
They were not winners.
Yeah.
It's going to be really, really hard for him. I think he knows that.
Yeah.
He's going to go in and just do what he can do.
That's right.
And we'll just see how the cards fall. We're all going to enjoy the show, right?
Absolutely.
Parvati
Shallow, another
By the way, we
Survivor.
are now into season 16. Like, we are into the teens now.
Getting back. Because remember, this is 40 that we're going into, and this is 16.
Old school.
So Parvati is she like rivals Rob in terms of like
Legend.
notoriety in the Survivor world. She played 3
Icon.
times before.
Yes.
Cook Islands was first. Then she won Micronesia. Then she returned for Heroes vs. Villains and got 2nd place.
Yes.
So she has one of the best records of anyone who's ever played.
So we're going to talk about Micronesia, but we have to just point out, Heroes vs. Villain, she came in runner-up to Sandra. She had a phenomenal game, and you just can't discount that. So it's not like she, geared her way up to a win. She has always played stellar.
And she knew that she didn't want to sit next to Sandra. in the finale of Heroes versus Villains,
At
but
least she knew
it
that.
just didn't work out for her. But if she hadn't been sitting next to Sandra, she could have won that season.
Exactly.
She played that well. So Parvati is a legend, like you said.
Yeah.
In Micronesia, it was her second time playing.
Yes, and this is a fans versus favorites.
Right, 10 each, fans favorites that season.
Also, this season, horrible conditions. Storms,
Yes.
so bad that one person quit, and they had 2 other medical evacuations. Like, this was a mess of a season.
Yeah, it was rough. Parvati was known as a flirt on Cook Islands,
Yes.
and she brought that strategy right back for Micronesia.
She knows it well. She plays it well.
She was, you know, flirty with James because she already knew James, but she, behind the scenes, she's like, listen, James and I are like, kind of, we got couple vibes, whatever, but like, I didn't make him any promises, and I'm ready to cut him whenever I have to cut him, because that's the other facet of her game. She's super flirty. She's also super cutthroat.
Yes. She will flirt with you no matter your gender.
That's right.
That has nothing to do with anything.
Whatever it takes to get her way.
She does have a bit of loyalty. She formed a group with Suri and Amanda very early on, and that did end up being the final 3.
That's right.
Which they assumed would be the final 3, but this season, they were like, no, final 2.
Yes, right.
So, twist there at the end.
Right.
But the 3 of those ladies really dominated together to get themselves
And
to
they
the
also
end.
had Natalie in there for a while, and it was this Black Widow Brigade, which
Yes.
is like one of the most famous alliances in Survivor history, because they just systematically destroyed the men that
They
season.
really did.
And that group came up with the idea at Final 5 that maybe Eric would give his immunity and necklace away. Eric is the last man standing this season, and they're like, we got to get him out. He just won individual immunity. Suri just throws out like, well, what if we convinced him to give his immunity away as like a show of trust, and then we vote him out? And they succeeded
Yeah.
in doing
The
that.
power of manipulation of these women
Yeah.
is insane. It
Yeah.
blows my mind what they were able to achieve.
Yeah.
And I think that's the word. Like, Parvati, since she's the winner that we are talking about,
Right.
she can manipulate you.
Yes, right. I mean, she was up against some stiff competition. Suri, everybody knows, has an insane social game, is one of the, you know, most famous Survivor players. Amanda was incredible. It was not a one-sided final tribal. It was 5-3, Parvati won over Amanda. So, you know, Amanda played a great game too, but that just shows how strong Parvati's game was that season.
Absolutely.
She did
and
manage to...
Again, she came back for Heroes versus Villains
Yes.
later and still,
Yes.
like, ran some stuff.
Right. She won an individual immunity on Micronesia, so she's physically capable as well. It's not just this, like, brilliant, you know, strategic game. She kind of is a very well-rounded player.
Yeah, she's so smart. She's so strategic. But boy, her powers of manipulation are just so impressive. And that's why now, even though it's been 10 years since she has played, her name comes up like every other season. Like just this past Island of the Idols, Molly was out Tribal 1 because they were like, we're getting Parvati vibes.
Yeah.
This girl, she knows how to flirt. She knows how to like charm.
Yes.
And out she goes. Like, her name is like iconic in the Survivor world. So obviously walking into season 40, huge old target on her back. But she just had a baby like
last year.
Less than a year when she was playing.
Yeah, it was like July 2018, I think she had the baby.
She was at 10 months when they went to play, which is crazy to leave a baby. And I know that was hard for her mentally and emotionally. And that has to play in and factor something in her game. It might help her.
Maybe she's playing harder because she's playing for this baby, you know?
Maybe it makes her less of a threat because she's not in top condition physically.
And mentally,
you know.
maybe she's not fully checked in.
Right. So she could use that to her advantage.
Yeah.
And manipulate with those tools.
Hello. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of us are super excited just to see what she's bringing to the table.
Yeah, she and Sandra are the only 2 people who have won a season of Survivor and then made it to another final tribal, right?
That is really impressive.
We already talked about Rob, lost All-Stars in the final tribal and then won Redemption Island. Parvati and Sandra both won and then were in that final tribal in Heroes versus Villains together. So, of course, you know, only one of them won. Sandra won, but the fact that she was already a winner and made it to another final tribal is crazy. Obviously, that's going to happen again this season for 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
However they formatted it, but
yeah, I mean, you would think you're going to keep any previous winners away from Final Tribal, and the 2 of them were there. I mean, obviously both of them are playing.
Yeah.
They could pair up.
Yeah.
Or they could be like, I know what you're all about. Because they do know what they're all about. And be like, you guys, you gotta go. I got my eye on you.
Yeah, but I am excited to see her play. It's just so great to have these players, like you say, who haven't played in decades. Right? Like 10 plus years some of these people haven't played. It's gonna be so fun to see.
And this is technically like an old school style play that she has.
Yeah.
Yule!
Cook Islands winner. Now he was on Cook Islands with Parvati, so they are familiar with each other.
And also Ozzy, back again. Not that
Ozzy's on every
has
season.
ever won, but
poor Ozzy. He's probably
so cute.
Yeah. This was a
Islands.
Controversial season.
I love that. Survivor thought that it would be a good idea to divide it into 4 tribes of ethnicity.
Right.
Which
one might say you're segregating the tribes.
Question why we did this, but here we are.
Here we are.
With Cook Islands.
Yeah, so there was an Asian American tribe, African American, Hispanic American, and White American, and these were the tribes. And then, but it switched up pretty quickly. I think there were only like 2 tribals along those racial lines before they switched tribes, and then things got integrated very quickly.
Some tribes were decimated pretty early on, but Yule, we have to say, really stood out from the beginning. Yeah. He is smart.
He went to Stanford and Yale Law.
Okay, these are things that you shouldn't tell people, but everybody knows it about him.
Yeah.
He was a real leader from the get-go.
Yeah.
And what was interesting on this season was that at one point, they offered up mutiny. They're like, so if anybody wants to like leave their tribe and just like move over,
join the other tribe,
go for it. And 2 people actually did it. They step off the mat, they join this other tribe, and it leaves 4 people alone on a tribe together.
4 versus 8 on the other tribe. And Yule was on the 4 tribe.
Right. So Yule is on this 4 tribe, and these 4 people are the final 4.
They won out until the merge, and then they systematically eliminated every other member from that tribe and made it to final 4.
Real impressive.
Again, these alliances that actually meant something back in the day, right? Like they formed that 4 and they won out. And they all made it to the final 4. That doesn't happen anymore on Survivor.
No, but I mean, a lot of it, okay, now we have to talk about Ozzy because that boy was just like a challenge beast that season.
Yeah.
But it was really him and Yule's like brains, like his smarts and his strategy.
Yeah.
They get down to a final 4 and Yule has the idol that he found.
That's right.
He actually won it.
He found it on Exile Island, right? Yeah.
And then Ozzy has immunity.
Right.
Because he's winning all the challenges.
Yeah.
And so the 2 of them are good to go. So the other 2 actually decide, again, they've been working together this whole time. The 2 of them are like, we'll just go down to fire.
It's only fair that we go to fire. Like, I think, because Yule was super close with Becky, who ended up being in the final 3. And I think he offered the immunity idol to her. And she was like, no, if fair is fair, like, we got to go to a fire-making challenge. Becky ultimately wins that, and so that is the final 3. Yule didn't win any individual immunities this season.
But how could you?
Ozzy won 5 out of 6.
Right.
So there was really no opportunity with Ozzy in the game to win an individual immunity.
But he's not a physical slouch.
No,
I mean,
he's very fit.
Tribe-wise, they had to win, and they did. They won a bunch of challenges together as a tribe. So, like, he can step it up. And honestly, even though it's been, how many years has it been? 13 years since he last played.
Oh my God.
He looks good.
He does, yes. But, you know, and because Ozzy was the physical player that season, Yule's strengths when he got down to that final tribal and is like pleading his case, it's all about strategy and social game in this season in particular. We may see him win some individual immunities on Winners at War if we get that far, but on Cook Islands, it was all about strategy and social game for him.
Yeah.
And I think that was evidenced in the fact that he always voted for the person who went home. He was never on the wrong side of a vote. So he was always clued in on the plan.
He was mostly in charge of the plan.
Right.
He is so smart. I mean, he is in his 40s, but I think he still looks so physically fit and strong that I think he's going to do just fine physically.
Yeah.
Now, we're kind of back to this thing. It's old school play, and it's been 13 years.
Yeah.
He played the one time.
Yeah.
We didn't see him again. He doesn't have any visible connections that we can, you know, tie him to.
Right.
So he enters with what? How? Like, I mean, what do we do with Yule, you know?
He knows Parvati, but like, you know, that's it. That's the only winner he's ever played with. And actually, she's not on his tribe to begin with, so it's not like he could run to her immediately. Again, I think this takes me back to what I was saying about Sophie is, does that make him a convenient first boot? Right. I played with you, so what do we do? Oh, let's just get rid of Yule. Or, you know, these one-time players really could, you know, join forces and be like, we gotta get these big dogs out and break these pairs up and these combos that are naturally going on. These natural alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so smart and he has shown loyalty that I personally would want him on my team. Like, I'm going to connect with him. I'm going to walk to that well with him and I'm going to be like, yo, we got this. Right. Like, I want him as a number.
Yeah. If I've seen someone form an alliance on day one and then take that alliance to the finals, I want to be in alliance with that person.
Yeah.
I want that loyalty.
I really hope that we get to see some of that. I really hope these, you know, Sophie's and Denise's and Yule's join together and make a run for these, you know, these
like
big old
stalwarts of the Survivor world. Yes.
I hope we see it.
Before we get off of Yule, I do want to say he won 5-4. It's a very close final tribal.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you've got Ozzy in there. How can Ozzy not get votes for a performance like that on Cook Islands? But Yule just edged him out.
Some of these people won unanimously, or they were just sitting next to people that obviously they're going to beat, and it wasn't that way. Yule and Ozzy battled it out. The jury was split. It was so close.
So close.
One vote more got him the win.
One vote. And he's the first Asian American winner ever. And it was the first time that there was a Final Three ever on Survivor.
Right. That was a twist that season.
I know.
I really think that Yule was hoping to just sit next to Becky, but that was because he thought it was going to be a Final Two. And then didn't work
Survivor
out.
producers had different plans.
Yes.
But he still won.
So now we get to see him on Survivor 40.
Yes. So that is those 4 players. We only have 4 left now.
Oh my gosh. Our last one is next week, part 5.
Yes.
And then you guys, after part 5, we're doing a draft.
We're doing a draft. And are we going to announce who's in our draft?
Let's do it. Let's announce.
I don't want to wait any longer.
Okay.
Tell the
David
people.
and I, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Jolene.
And
our favorite busted can of biscuits.
Elaine is doing the draft with us.
Is joining us. We're each going to have a fantasy team and see how we can do this season.
Yes, so people will get points, you know, based on different aspects of the game of Survivor, and we'll see who wins. We're up against Elaine. It's going to be tough.
Very excited about that. So, you guys, please tell us what you think about Rob's chances, Parvati's chances, how you feel about Yule and Sophie.
Yes, let us know what you think, and we will see you next time for the last part in our cast assessment.
Okay, bye.
Bye.